Welcome to our HR Innovation webinar on workplace transformation. As you all know, we are working in a rapidly evolving landscape where change is really our only constant. Our organizations are at a really imperative point, and at the heart of it lies the human resources function. HR is the powerhouse that can propel companies towards success, or we can hold them back if we're not finding ways to innovate and transform. 56% of companies are redesigning their HR services to leverage digital and mobile tools. So, our hope with our content today is that we're able to inspire you to continue the path forward to more innovative HR experience. Before we get too far, how about some introductions? I'm Tricia Shields, and I'm the CHRO here at Naviant. I've had the pleasure of growing an innovative HR practice here at Naviant, and I love connecting with other HR professionals to grow in our collective mission to leverage HR within each of our organizations. I've also drug along with me Chris Krause, who's an absolute rock star. But by way of title, Chris is Naviant's VP of Technology Solutions. Chris has over 20 years of helping organizations understand how to navigate that technology journey. He's a wealth of knowledge, and I'm excited to get an opportunity to collaborate with him in today's session. We do have our QR codes up here on the screen. If you want to capture that while you can still see our smiling faces, and that's going to give you an opportunity to get connected with us on LinkedIn. I'd encourage you to connect with both of us just to hear what's going on in our world as we add more content on that platform. So today we aren't going to be talking to you about which technology to use, but rather how to approach your technology landscape as it relates to ensuring an innovative HR practice. So we're going to be focused on strategic process streamlining, which is where many organizations are finding the greatest return in their technology investment. Data-driven decision making, thinking about how are you using technology to help make sound decisions. User experience, how is technology making life easier for you and for your users? And then finally, HR strategy, which is where we'll explore how to ensure your HR practice is elevated organizationally. All right, so strategic process streamlining. And what do I mean by that? I get opportunities to talk about HR technology often. And one of the things you'll hear me say is that the single biggest win that HR practices can capture is around the digitization of their documents and data and the automation of their processes as it relates to those documents and data. All right, so that maybe sounded like two or three things, but really it's all related. And I want to make sure our HR professionals and those of you that support them are really hearing this. So, starting with digitization as a foundation, in order to fully benefit from automation, you need to have digitized documents. And think about that. Do you? Well, we did a poll back in 2023 and identified that 49% of organizations have most of their data in a digital format. So, really good statistics there. We did also hear from 18% of HR professionals that their data is still primarily paper based. So, think about where you're at with that journey. Once your documents and your data are digital, I like to say that the sky is really the limit as the door flies open to different opportunities that you can capture with automation. So let's look at this power of automation. How many of you are still keeping track of tasks that need to be completed, data that needs to be entered, or maybe people that need to be notified for the different phases of your employee life cycle? What about when a new hire starts? How are you managing all of those different pieces? Are you keeping track of that in your head? Maybe it's on paper. Maybe you're using a standalone application that's keeping track of your list. What if you could have a system distribute and track all of that for you seamlessly? Certainly, you'd be increasing efficiency, but you'd also be opening the power of the division of labor. Let technology do what it's best at so that you can do what you're great at. And for HR professionals, that's providing human thought and human interaction to our most valuable resources. Clearly, that's our employees. And you can't talk about efficiencies, and maybe this is even the ability to sleep a little bit better at night without addressing the opportunity to streamline one of your greatest liabilities organizationally, and that's your compliance components. So let's talk about automation as it relates specifically to HR. Where should you be automating? Here's some of the areas that different organizations are utilizing automation to reap the benefits that we've been talking about. At Naviant, some of our greatest wins with automation have been around applicant automation, performance management, and then our compliance management system. We're really automating our full employee life cycle, all the way from onboarding through departure. And I'm happy to share any of those specific examples with anyone that wants to learn more about specific areas of automation. All right. Well, I could talk about automation all day, but now I want to pass it over to Chris to talk to us about data-driven decisions.
Well, thanks, Tricia. That was an awesome start. I love the fact that you actually do everything that you talk about in those slides. You've challenged us for so many years now to improve our processes that used to be purely paper-based. So we were just like many of you that had paper in file cabinets. And anytime a manager needed something, they had to come to HR and request that piece of paper. It was very labor intensive. And so you took that all, digitized it, made it automated, which was perfect because we went remote workforce. We can work from anywhere. So having it digitized and having it available everywhere from a manager's perspective is so fantastic. And that, of course, that digitization of data led to us being a data-driven decision-making organization. So whether you measure things by OKRs or KPIs, data-driven decisions really improves how you run organizationally. So let's talk about a couple key areas within data-driven decisions and how technology, applying a technology layer can really help with that. So the first is measuring your efforts and then driving the change. So a typical example would be performance management. And Tricia brought that one up because that's when she brought and digitized for us, and we went to quarterly reviews. And it was fantastic because it really allowed every manager to seamlessly automate the review of every employee, and every employee could see all of their content and all of their goals in real time. So you were able to set metrics, set goals, and have them be reviewed and measured seamlessly throughout the year. That also improved change, right? So one of the goals that we actually set, this doesn't just set it and forget it. You want to actually review them and say, and this is the right target. So you always start with a hypothesis of what you want for your goal, what should be your target, and you can actually query your management team to help you guide you on what those initial measurements should be. But then with your data, review those. Have you hit your target? Is that the right target, or should you actually make it harder? And Tricia's done a great job of doing that here at Naviant. That leads you to informed and strategic decision making. How do you know you have the right level of employment? How do you know you have the right employees in the right roles? How do you determine all of those factors if you're not leveraging data and technology to be able to drive those strategic decisions within your organization? And once you have data-driven decisions, it makes it very easy for managers and employees both alike to know what the expectations are and achieve success, which is fantastic. And that goes into performance management. When everybody knows what our corporate goals are, what your role in their organization and what your goals are, and what numbers you need to achieve in order to be successful, it makes the conversation very easy with your employees, and it makes hiring folks very, very easy because you can articulate exactly what the expectations of the roles and what success looks like. So having data drive performance is imperative. And of course, last but not least, you really want to measure employee satisfaction. And we do that internally, leveraging, of course, technology to be able to query our staff and determine how are we doing as managers? And are we giving them the right employee growth route? Are we giving them a culture that they want to work in? Is the leadership team meeting expectations? Are our leaders articulating the messaging to our employees correctly? And are they getting the right compensation benefits that they are want to expect when they come on board? These are all ways to collect data and leverage that data to improve the employee satisfaction in our organization. So there are just 4 key ways of how you can leverage technology to improve your organization with data. So let's take a quick poll. And this is going to drop your answer in the chat. So please take a moment and get your hands free and start typing out your answers. Our question is your organization making data-driven decisions today to lead initiatives and make changes within your organization? A, no, you're not using any data to make those decisions today. In other words, you're going more on gut or maybe historical information. B, kinda. Conceptually you are, but it's not fully structured, so you don't have the facts and you're not measuring year over year and doing trend analysis. Or C, absolutely, you are full into data decisions. So you're using data to make all of your decisions and validate all of your assumptions within the organization. So A, you're not using any data. B, you're using some. And C, of course, you're fully vetted in. That's really, really important. We look forward to your answers on this, and we're going to provide you these poll results from all the attendees so you can see where you rank with your peers. And hopefully most of you are trending towards the C. And if you're not in that direction yet, we hope you'll get there after this presentation. So thank you for responding to our poll. We will send you the results coming up. So now you know why it's important to have all this great data. You're going to provide this beautiful poll, but how can you improve your user experience? Because the user, ultimately, your employees and the staff, ultimately are the benefactors of having great automation technology within the organization. And of course, we build a lot of those going forward. And why is technology so important, especially today? Whether you have an anywhere workforce like we do, where we're spread across the entire country, or you have to process that content and you're sharing it with customers, so it can be internal resources or external resources, you really need to have data electronic and available at a moment's notice and almost at 24/7 these days. So the first thing is you can highly engage employees when you have and you apply technology that can leverage the internet. So any work from anywhere means I just have an internet connection and I can see my content, I can do my work, and I can be effective in my role. It also gives you knowledge. So for example, a brand new worker to your organization. How fast can you get them up to speed with your technology and your automation and your processes? Can they act like a seasoned veteran, or does it take years before they're really effective at their role? You want to reduce that time it takes for them to act like a seasoned professional and impress your clients, whether they're internal or external. And of course, sharing and knowledge. You want to be able to pass all of that information on and make all that information easily accessible. And the tools and technologies in place today make it very, very easy. For those of you using AI in your organization, like Copilot, for example, you can harvest a lot of the information housed that you've digitally brought in from an HR perspective. Say you want to look up how much vacation can I earn if I've been here for 5 years? A very simple question from a co-pilot should be able to answer that, harvesting the information you've digitized. So bringing back to how important it is to bring digitization into your world. And of course, whether you're in-house or remote, your needs for information and your needs to be enabled with the technologies stack that you have in a secure way is critically important. If you don't bring in great technology that leverages all those key contributions, then you're missing out on those opportunities. And you should look at your technology stack to improve that. And HR certainly should be at the forefront of assisting in that technology improvement in your organization. So Tricia, tell us a little more.
About the integration, or I'm sorry, not the integrations, but the application of some of the technologies that we've used, even based on what you're saying, Chris. I just think about, I love that concept of Utilizing technologies not only to make the data-driven decisions, but also to just ensure a really seamless experience for employees, as well as our HR professionals and our managers, so really anybody that needs access to that information when they need it. And it really truly is not only a benefit to the organization, but to the employees as well. So definitely on board with everything that you're sharing.
And I think it's made your job a little easier by having all the managers have all the same content, all the same automations in place throughout the expansion of Naviant and our growth orientation for the last doubling in size in the last 6 years.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely assisted in kind of that cohesive experience across the organization.
And now you might be saying, well, that's great to have some technologies that apply, and we understand we need to get it to our employees, and that's very user friendly, so they know where to go and they don't have to look all over the place to find content very, very easily and be efficient in their roles. But our systems, we've got on average, so there's a poll, and on average, there are 11 sources of truth of employee data within a single HR department. So that was a statistic. On average, many of you have 11 different sources of truth. Well, that isn't easy. And of course, when we look internally, we've got our core base system, of course, but we do extend out to multiple systems. And so if I'm not going to use just one technology, how can I make it seem like I have a single technology so my end users don't feel the pain of where do I look if I want to look up payroll information, or where do I look if I want to see my vacation time, or maybe other corporate policies and procedures? Well, by doing integrations between those platforms, that will make your life easier. So you want to pick a platform that has an open API or application programming interface that allows you to seamlessly have all applications interact with each other. So that would give you that holistic insight into both your data to make data-driven decisions and give that seamless interface for your end user. Plus, when they're all working together, things like name changes. Someone gets married in your organization and they update their name, becomes a seamless, easy effort. You update it in one place and it will propagate through all of those different applications. So a very simple use case, but important for everybody else, because while you may have 11 different systems on average in your HR department, we don't want the end users or even your HR employees to feel like that's how it is. And of course, whenever you run into those technology features, that's where you should engage a partner who really understands both the needs of the user and the HR department to be able to link all of your applications together to provide that seamless look.
All right. Well, let's go over to HR strategy. And thank you, Chris. I really do like that idea of having a really strong user experience, and especially in today's market that we're all trying to figure out and navigate. So, this section on HR strategy is really to help support our HR professionals to maximize the opportunity to leverage our core knowledge in alignment with our organizations as a whole. So, that's kind of a mouthful. So, here are two concepts to help align HR with our organizations and hopefully show how to leverage technology to accomplish it. So, the first piece is aligning HR with broader business goals. At Naviant, as an example, we have a goal of growth, which that can come along with lots of new initiatives and decisions about where and how are we going to be spending our time. So our HR team is looking at data to identify what makes sense to support the growth with our organization. And we're using technology to measure and deliver that data to us. Number two is foster a culture of sustainable growth, profitability, and organizational excellence. Organizations are growing really at all different speeds, but regardless, we are all growing, we're changing, we're evolving. And how are we ensuring excellence during this growth? Let's ensure that we're leveraging technology to look to the future, whether that's technology that has the ability to integrate and communicate with those other technologies. So we don't have the 11 sources of record, or finding ways to seek out innovative technologies through partnerships with those strategic partners that Chris mentioned that really do know our businesses and can align us with technologies that truly move us forward in whatever direction we are going. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Chris, just to get us wrapped up.
I love that, Tricia. That's something that you've done such a great job here at Naviant, is really taking our strategic goals as an organization and aligning them with our HR initiatives to ensure that you've applied the technology and efficiencies gained through automation, and of course our remote access from any work from anywhere technologies, that everybody's on the same playing field and everybody sees and achieves those same goals, and there's no restrictions across the board for us to achieve as an organization everything that you expect. So you've done such a great job. And of course, with that, I mean, I know a lot of you today heard a lot of key things and you're like, wow, I want to learn more. Well, take some time, and you've had the opportunity to join us on LinkedIn. So please join and ask us any questions that you like. This was just the tip of the iceberg, and there's so much more. And you may have some very specific use cases that you'd like to know more about. And Tricia and I are here and we'd be happy to discuss those with you so that you can get the most out of your HR technology and make you the most in your organization. And of course, there's a QR code right here on the screen that you can click and reach out to Naviant. So this will take you to our Naviant HR information, so you can see some of the HR automation technologies that we've applied within the organization and how you can apply it within your organization to become even better. And we really appreciate all of you joining us today, and we look forward to talking to you in the future about your HR needs and more.